Hey there, welcome back to another episode of CelluloidNation. This is a Comic-Con extravaganza. Yes, we'll be talking about all the new Comic-Con trailers, as well as some other trailers that we haven't had the opportunity to talk about, and some more movie news, and upcoming Blu-ray releases. And as always, I'm joined with my really good friend, Matt.
Hi, this is Matt, aka Rambo for Life. Very nice to be here once again.
Definitely glad you're here. So far, it's been it's always a pleasure, but it's just been really a fun thing to do, this whole Celluloid Nation thing, and there's been a decent amount of people who have enjoyed it, so that's really cool too. So for those of you listening, thank you, and we'll have plenty more entertainment to come in the near future. So let's get started, shall we? Let's talk about Titans, which I honestly like to call this trailer terrible. Like it should be like DC presents terrible, because it's so bad. I mean, it almost looks worse than a fan film. Like I swear, I've seen fan films on YouTube that had better production values. And
What is what is Titans? Because I didn't see the trailer. All I saw was your Facebook post
okay,
that said "fuck Batman."
Titans is a live action trailer for the new web series that DC is going to be rolling out on their new streaming platform, and it's based on the Teen Titans: Robin, Beast Boy, Raven, Starfire. Cyborg isn't there because they can't afford him. It's a streaming web series. They can't afford Cyborg. Um,
So they can afford Beast Boy.
yeah, but you don't see him do
I just make up,
anything.
right?
You just see him in green makeup and leap in the air in one scene. That's it. The reason why I call it terrible is this: it's got the dark, gritty look to it. It's TVMA, which I find ridiculous for Teen Titans. What is a Suicide Squad? It's got blood and Robin's like stepping on a guy's face, and then Robin is the one that says "fuck Batman," and he does it in a way that's just you're just ridiculously edgy, and the whole trailer just
So wait,
looks.
wait, wait a minute, 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 wait a minute. We get an R-rated Teen Titans thing, but
Yeah.
we can't fucking get a R-rated Ninja Turtle thing,
Nope.
which would make more sense.
It would make more sense. Yeah, I know.
Whatever.
So, and from what I saw in the trailer, not only but from the look of it, but from the whole writing and approach, it's one of those edgy, dark shows, but it just doesn't land at all. It's so off kilter. It's so ridiculous. You can't take it seriously, and the designs are bad. Starfire looks like a fucking hooker. She looks like a hooker, or a hussy. Like, it was she a streetwalker, uh, looking for dicks to suck before she got superpowers or something? Like, what the hell is up with this design? Raven looks similar to what she does, but the way that they show her powers and stuff is just something straight off of somebody's Tumblr page. And speaking of Tumblr, it's as if this was like somebody's Tumblr fan fiction or something. This is like Tumblr Titans or something. Like it's one of those things that's like it's those posts that people post on Tumblr and other social media where they're all like depressed and moody and goth and
Hmm.
edgy. This entire
Yeah.
trailer is like that turned up to 11. It's just ridiculous. I can't believe that DC is going to be like, hey, pay $75 a month for this, and our other cartoons and animation and some of our comic library. But it's not $75 a month, it's $75 for a year. but they don't have the $7.99 monthly payment in place yet. They just have the $75 thing. But even $8, I'm not paying. I wouldn't pay a dime for Titans, let alone $8. And this is their flagship. This is the streaming series that they're throwing out there to start everything, because they're going to have a Swamp Thing series and these other series. And I'm like, you're starting off on the wrong foot from the get go. Good luck with that. But it makes perfect sense, doesn't it, Matt? This is DC and Warner Brothers we're talking about. The same people who did the same shit with Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman. They all of a sudden wanted to do a DC universe after Marvel was successful with it, and they decided, well, I guess Man of Steel will work. And then they threw up Batman vs Superman and this flimsy ass foundation for a cinematic universe, and it makes sense that they do the same fucking shit with their streaming platform. I shouldn't be surprised.
I I don't. I mean, I didn't see the trailer, so I
Uh-huh.
can't say much about it. But it's DC. It's
I mean, fuck
R-rated
Batman
Teen
is all
Titans,
you
which
really need to know. I love the meme somebody did of that famous image where Batman slaps Robin, and they did one where Robin's like, "Fuck Bat," and the Batman just slaps him. It's like, "Fuck who?" So it's just, yeah, it's just ridiculous. The guy who's playing Robin too, I don't buy, and his suit is this jumbled fucking mess. It's like they took the armor style from The Dark Knight and turned it into a Robin suit, and it just doesn't work. He looks
I don't.
bulky.
I don't even understand who it's for. Because when you say a line like that, Batman is the most popular
Yeah, I
character,
know.
so people would not like him for saying that. They think he's a little fucking twerp or dweeb.
Yeah,
So it's like, fuck you, I'm not. Fuck Batman, fuck you, I'm not watching your show.
yeah.
So I don't understand the logic behind it.
I don't get it either. It's like if Marvel did a streaming thing. Disney had their new streaming platform, and they did some TVMA series with like some down the line hero like Moon Knight or something, and then Moon Knight said "fuck Spider Man." Just be like, "Fuck Moon Knight. Who the hell are you?" So anyway, yeah, there's that's my thoughts on Titans. Um, Next up, I want to talk about the first Comic Con trailer I want to discuss, and that is Godzilla King of the Monsters. I actually liked it. I liked the classical music score they used in it. It was a nice change of pace. There were people in the comment section on YouTube that were divisive about it and didn't like it. To each their own. I liked it. There actually was some pretty beautiful imagery in that. I think it was Mothra or was in the rain, and they did a good job with that particular shot. The thing is with this film, the guy who's directing it is hit and miss. Like, isn't it the guy who did X-Men Last Stand?
That's X-Men Last Stand. That's guy who did Rush Hour,
Oh
Brett
no no
Ratner.
no! He wrote something like
This is the guy who did.
I think it's
He
Simon.
wrote X-Men 2, I think.
Okay, all right.
It's Michael Dougherty who directed Trick or Treat, which
Oh
is a
yeah,
good
okay.
horror
I
anthology
thought
movie.
I'm going off as what somebody said on Facebook, and I should never do that. I should go off of the actual fucking research. That's what I should do. Um, but yeah, the Trick or Treat director, I like what he's done in the past. It's just from a stylistic standpoint, it does look like he's kind of copying what Gareth Edwards did, like the suits at Warner Brothers were like, you need to have the same aesthetic, and I don't know if I'm necessarily a fan of that. A lot of them were hidden in shadows in the trailer, and that's fine. But they better not do that same shit they did in Goddamn Zilla, where they hide the fucking monsters or cut away from them. I swear to God, if they do that again, but with more monsters, I am going to spray atomic breath out of my own mouth. I mean, for fuck's sake. Once is enough. I like Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things. I don't know about the whole plot line. Are they going to focus more on the human characters? They seem kind of dull. I hope they deliver on the monsters, and because that's what King of the Monsters, a new Godzilla movie, should be: deliver the goods when it comes to Godzilla and the other monsters. But the thing is, I'm leery about it. I liked it, but I'm leery about it because I liked all of the trailers for Goddamn Zilla. Okay, I liked every single. I liked the teaser. I liked the trailers, and the movie sucked. So I don't want to go into this movie and being like, oh, the trailer, I liked it, so therefore the movie's gonna be automatically good. No, I'm not gonna be fooled again by Godzilla.
Yeah, I agree about being leery because I too did not like Godzilla from 2014. I but I have to say yes, the trailer did look good.
Yeah,
But again, I understand. Believe me, I understand being leery.
yeah,
If I look at the trailer itself and the movie itself, at least A has a better director.
yes.
B, at least the other monsters are classical monsters, not
Not Cloverfield ripoffs.
putos.
Yeah,
The what the fuck were they called? The putos or whatever.
yeah.
What were they called really?
I forgot.
Butos or
Mutos.
Mutos? Yeah, Mutos the putos. And at least the cast seems better.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem like you have a weak actor like Aaron Taylor
yeah. It's
Johnson.
Ford Brody.
I mean, so at least there are elements. It was a good looking trailer. The
Yeah,
effects, the scope. I did not mind the music used.
yeah.
I don't know what it's called,
It's
but I've heard it
Adagio
before.
by string, or Adagio on strings, or by strings, I think, by Debussy. Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, okay. Isn't that wait Adagio for Strings? Isn't that the music for Platoon?
I think it might be,
So I'm
actually.
like, that's not what it's called, is it?
I could be wrong. I'm just going
I
off
thought they
once
said
again in
music.
the comments that I saw on the YouTube page. They could be wrong, so I could be
I
wrong
think I
again.
actually I I think I actually remember hearing that music in this game I played called The Evil Within.
Huh.
And I'm like, I recognize that. I just don't remember the name for it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the trailer looked good. The movie, I'll wait till I hear other people talk about it
Yeah.
because I don't want to be. You see Godzilla for 5 minutes at the end
Yeah, I don't
total
want that to happen either. Or you
for the
see
whole
all these
movie.
other monsters for like 10 to 15 minutes.
Total for all
Yeah.
of them combined.
The other trailer I want to talk about is Glass, actually. This one, I was surprised by this one. Now, this is another thing I'm going to be extremely leery of because I saw Split. I was not a fan of Split. I thought it was overrated. It wasn't scary. I don't buy this whole M. Night Shyamalan is back. No, he still sucks, and the movie still was shit. It was boring. It wasn't scary. The characters sucked, and they didn't do as much with the split personality character as they could have. But this trailer, I gotta be honest, did a good job. It was well edited. I like the concept. It seems like this is more of a sequel to Unbreakable than it is a straight up sequel to Split, because you have Sam Jackson's character, Mr. Glass. He's using the schizophrenia guy to the multiple personality guy to his advantage, and it seems like they're going to team up, and then it's up to Bruce Willis to stop them. I like that concept. That could be a good sequel to Unbreakable. But M. Night Shyamalan's track record, or as Matt and I like to call him, M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong's track record is shit. It's not good. So I'm leery of it, but I'm curious. But I am very leery about it.
I didn't like the trailer at all. I have zero interest in this movie.
That's cool.
I have zero interest in Night Shyamalan's phony ass. He's not a good director. He's an overrated hack.
Uh-huh.
He's made like one great movie and one or two decent flicks.
Mm.
I I never saw Split, don't care to. It never interests me. Not a single frame of footage intrigued me on Split.
Mm-hmm.
And more of James Macadamia nuts in it. I don't care about that.
Uh-huh.
Sam Jackson, I don't know.
He's in everything nowadays.
I have a feeling Bruce Willis. Yeah, I have a feeling Bruce Willis is not going to do much. Just have a gut feeling.
Well, I mean, if that's the
not going to
case,
be in
then
much of the film. It's not
yeah,
going to do much in the film. Or
yeah. I mean, if that's the case, then I'll be right
I
along
don't know
with you.
about. Yeah, I don't know about the setup and the mental institution. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about the other. I don't know about the setup. Like,
Yeah.
I are they going? Is he trying to create a fucking universe of his own? I guess,
Yeah, I
which we
think
don't
that.
need
Yeah,
anymore.
I think that's what he's
Universe
trying to do.
is like his version of Justice League, like everyone together. I would prefer just Unbreakable 2 with focusing on Bruce Willis.
Yeah,
I mean, it's called Glass, so I guess it'll focus more on Sam Jackson's character, I guess.
it
Which I
could,
don't know about
or
that.
it might not. It's one of those things. Like it could just be more of a
Well, it's that,
sequel to
yeah.
Unbreakable, and less of a sequel to Split. But the thing is, it is one of those things where, ironically enough, it's gonna be kind of split because it's following up Split, so it's got to do that and follow up on that film. So decent chunk of the film is going to be following up Split. The other chunk's going to be following up Unbreakable. So I'm interested in it. I'm curious about it, but I'm very leery about it for that reason, because of the fact that it's going to be incredibly difficult to do either portion justice, because you're having to do all of these
How
things at
can you
once.
split justice if you hated it?
Well, I mean, exactly. I mean, in terms of do it better, be better. That's what I meant. In terms of what I mean by doing it justice is like, if you're going to do a sequel to Split, improve upon it. Well, now if you're doing a sequel to Split and a sequel to Unbreakable, you have less opportunities to improve upon the previous film. And then when it comes to Unbreakable,
To me, it's like for me, it's you're wasting an Unbreakable sequel by having to be a sequel to a film I don't give a fuck
yeah,
about.
I
Called
I
Split.
completely understand. I completely get it. I completely get that, and that's why I'm leery of it. Is because you have this split thing going on, with it's trying to be a sequel to Split, but then it's also a sequel to Unbreakable, so it can't be a surefire 100% sequel to either film. If I had to choose, 100% rather just be a straight up sequel to Unbreakable, 100%. But it's one of those things, like, they got to find this fine balance, and I don't know if M. Night Shyamalan's going to do it. But we shall see. It's not like I'm going to be paying full price to see that anyway. Fantastic Beasts, don't care about Fantastic
January.
Beasts. Yeah, January. I'm not really into. I haven't seen the first Fantastic Beasts. I know it's a Harry Potter spinoff. I've never bothered to watch the first film, so I don't care about the sequel. Shazam, I'm going to say this. There were things about it that I did really enjoy. I liked the actor who's playing the disabled kid. I liked that he had an attitude, spunk to him. That was a nice change of pace. A kid who has crutches and, like, kicking bullies' asses and shit. That was cool. I do like the fact that DC is, for once, trying to do something a little more lighthearted. It's not, ooh, we're so dark and edgy. Ooh, we're so realistic. It's not trying to be Christopher Nolan all over again. So I have to give Shazam a lot of
Hmm.
credit for that. Uh, it's just a sense of humor. I guess didn't really make me laugh. I found the character kind of just goofy and a little bit lame. But that's just me personally. The character, Shazam. Uh, Essentially, what it's trying to do is like big, but if Tom Hanks was a superhero, you know, that kind of thing. It's essentially trying to do that, and that's a difficult thing to nail. And I don't really quite see that in this trailer, but I I am curious about it. I liked it more than Aquaman and Titans, and it's a film that I will give a shot. It might be one of those like Ant-Man. I didn't really care about Ant-Man. The trailers didn't really impress me enough for me to see the film in the theater, and I saw the movie and I was very pleasantly surprised by it. Or Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I didn't like the first trailer at all for that movie, the teaser. The other trailers came out, I liked them more, I saw the film and I enjoyed it. So who knows? Um
You're like the only you're like the only person I know that liked Fallen Kingdoms.
Whatever. I don't care. I liked it. It was the big, dumb, loud, fun popcorn movie that Jurassic World wanted to be, but wasn't. It's like a Carnosaur movie. It really is.
I'm curious about it.
I think you might
As
like
for
it. I mean,
Shazam,
I could see why you could have some other problems with it, but I think you might like it. Shazam!
I'll give it a look sometime. As for Shazam, I never followed it. I always thought it was a goofy character to begin with.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well, I
I
mean, there
liked
was
the
that
trailer.
TV
I
show in the
liked it more than
'70s where Billy is driving around with some old man in Winnebago, which is
I never saw the show,
yeah,
but
Shazam.
I liked the trailer. I liked the lead kid. He didn't seem that annoying.
No,
I
no,
liked
I didn't mind him either.
the I thought the
Sidekick.
acting seemed fine. I thought, huh?
Did you like the sidekick? You know, the kid, the friend of the lead.
Yeah, he was fine too.
Yeah,
And I liked it. It seemed in a way more down to earth
yeah,
and not not quite like Hancock, but maybe a little bit going in that direction of not being totally serious as a
yeah.
superhero movie. And uh, I don't know. It made me smile a few times, and I didn't mind the trailer. I thought it seemed like a fun time.
Yeah.
But I liked the Ant-Man trailer as well when it
Uh-huh.
first came out. So yeah, I
So
thought it was definitely the best of the Comic Con trailers.
okay. I would say I like Godzilla King of the Monsters the best, but that's just me personally. Um, the next trailer, the other DC movie that's coming out. This one's coming out in December. Yay! Merry Christmas. Here's a turd floating in water that is Aquaman. Aquabro. This movie is DC's Thor. Literally. It's the same fucking plot as the first Thor film. Okay, you have a dude bro lead who's a womanizer. The only thing that he's missing is a hammer instead of a trident, and a scene where he's chugging a mug of beer. Same attitude, same personality, but the difference is Jason Momoa doesn't have the same charisma or personality. Not necessarily. I mean, well, yeah, personality either, but he doesn't have the same charisma as Chris Hemsworth. Also, it's a half brother. His half brother is trying to take over the kingdom and also destroy the world, and it's up to Aquaman to stop him. it's that you swap out Loki for this guy, and it's really the same fucking plot as the first movie. In terms of the overarching grand aspect of it, the subplot isn't the same, and there's other differences here and there. But the thing is, this film, I like James Gunn. I mean, not James Gunn. I mean, James Gunn is on my mind right now. So I did like James
James
Gunn.
Wan.
James Wan. There we go. I like James Wan and his work, but and if you think about it, there is kind of a Guardians of the Galaxy sort of vibe to this trailer, so there's a little bit of that anyway. Um, but I do like James Wan, but it doesn't really look like
They also did Fast and Furious
he
7.
did. He did, and that was disappointing. So I don't
It's not in
know.
his comfort zone. He usually does horror.
Yeah, this is not in his comfort zone, and it honestly shows. And it's not just Jason Momoa who's the problem. He's a big problem because he can't fucking act. He's no presence, and he cannot carry this film. I mean, his line delivery in this
No.
trailer was wooden as hell. It was like a piece of fucking driftwood. The other issue I have with it, it's CGI overload. The last one of the last shots is a bunch of people on sharks running at some people, I think maybe on seahorses or some shit. And it's all CGI, and it just looks like a cutscene out of a video game. There's no sense of reality, no sense of immersion, no sense of weight to any of this because it's just a bunch of fucking CGI nonsense. And to make that even worse is this film, from this trailer at least, has some of the worst fucking color filtering I have seen in a trailer, in a movie. It is so fucking bad. It almost made my eyes bleed because it's so oversaturated to the point where everything looks like it's shot behind a green screen, even moments when it's not. It's not shot behind a green screen. It's on an actual set. And because the color filtering is so fucking bad and the contrast is fucking oversaturated, it looks fake as fuck. It just looks bad. It's an eyesore. And I don't like Aquaman either, so that's the
I
other
got nothing
thing.
to say on Aquaman.
You got nothing to say on
I got
Aquaman?
nothing to say on Aquaman. I never liked him. That was a fucking fruitcake. I thought he needs a fucking shave and a haircut, and he needs to try it up his ass.
2 bits.
The
Shave and a
only
haircut, two
Aquaman
bits.
movie, the only Aquaman movie should have been Entourage. That's where it should have stayed.
Uh, I'm just not into dude bro Aquaman. I mean Aqua bro. It's just not something I'm looking forward to. Not into it. It looks like shit. The plot doesn't interest me. Um, I mean, and also, like I said, I've never really been a fan of Aquaman from his early rendition as the lame goody two shoes guy to all the other attempts that they tried to make him badass. Let's give him a beard and a hook for a hand. He's still fucking lame. If not even lamer, you give him a hook for a hand. What are you trying to turn him into, Captain Hook? Then Then they gave him a water hand. And then all these fucking attempts to try to make him badass. Like, he has all these powers. He can control piranhas and sharks. And he can, like, suck the water out of your brain. Alright, okay. It just seems like a whole bunch of fucking tryhard shit. It really does. It's like, they can't accept that he might be kind of a lame character, so they just try to add all this fucking shit to him to try to make him badass, and it just doesn't work, at least to me personally. And I know there's fans of Aquaman, and there's a lot of them, and they're probably looking forward to this movie, and they like what they see. I'm just saying it like I feel it is, and I feel it's shit. And like I said, it's a turd floating on top of the water. I would rather watch Waterworld. I don't think that movie is as bad as some people make it out to be, and they actually shot sequences on the water for real, not inside a fucking computer or behind a green screen.
Aquaman looks like a hemorrhoid,
So,
and the whole movie is a walking hemorrhoid.
walking
Makes your
hemorrhoid.
ass itch.
So, there's a few other trailers I want to talk about. For one, Welcome to Marwen. I am not like super big on Steve Carell's films, but I really like this trailer. Both trailers that I've seen, I thought the music choices were good, and I like the. It's a good story. It's a really interesting true story, and I like the concept of it that they have this story within a story thing with these dolls that come to life and so on and so forth. And Zemeckis is a really solid director, and I'm definitely curious about it because I've seen the documentary. I think it's called Marwen. That this is this that more than likely inspired this film. There are some differences in terms
Hmm.
of the reality of the situation. In real life, the people who beat up this guy, one of them was black. So in the movie, they're doing the whole, they're all white or whatever. But it's a very tiny thing, and it's still technically a work of fiction. It's a movie. It's that's why they call it inspired by a true story or based on a true story. It's not a documentary. Do you have anything to say
Hmm.
about about that? About that movie?
I haven't seen the trailer, so I can't say much about
Okay.
it. I'm not even sure what the real life event is.
Uh,
What is the real life event?
there was this guy, this man who was beat up by these thugs, severely because he's a little bit of a cross dresser, and it doesn't seem like they're really mentioning that in the film either. And I hope they actually do cover that because that's kind of a key aspect of it. And they beat the shit out of him, and he ended up surviving, but he had PTSD because of all of that. And in order to cope with some of these
Hmm.
things, he decided to create these worlds and stuff like that with his dolls, with these military dolls. And he'd create these dolls that one of them was himself, and then he'd have these other people that he met in his life that he'd create dolls of. And it was his way to cope with it. And so that's the film is dealing with that in terms of the true story, in terms of the reality of it. And then it's also it's doing a really cool concept, in my opinion, of showing his world's coming to life. And then, kind of, Toy Story when toys come to life or whatever, and that kind of thing. But this time with war toys, and it takes place in World War II or around that time period. And it's just I think it's a really cool concept and a nice mesh of storytelling. It's definitely more unique than some other stuff that's coming
Okay.
out. You know, another Robin Hood movie that is going to bomb. That film is going to tank. I like Taron Egerton. I do. I liked him a lot in the Kingsman films, but I can't think of anybody who's looking forward to that. Overlord. This one came out of nowhere. I really like this trailer. I know some people are saying it could be another fucking Cloverfield movie. I hope that's not the case. I hope to just leave that on the back burner. Not everything that J.J. Abrams produces needs to be a fucking Cloverfield movie. Um, Essentially, it's like the Castle Wolfenstein film. It's like the unofficial Castle Wolfenstein movie with added extra shit like monsters, or not necessarily monsters, but zombies, like straight out of something like Doom. I like the style of the trailer. I like the concept. Takes place in World War II, and then you have zombies or some kind of viral infection thing. And what really sold me is the use of Hell's Bells by AC/DC. That was great. It was a really cool thing to do. Whenever you remind me of Maximum Overdrive, you've done a damn good job with your trailer. And it's not just that. I mean, there were other aesthetic things about it that I liked. Um, I like the idea behind it. Some people are saying it's ripping off Frankenstein's Army. I think it's different enough than Frankenstein's Army, and honestly, I didn't like Frankenstein's Army, so I think they can improve upon Frankenstein's Army. Um, and you've seen that movie too, right? Frankenstein's Army.
It sucked.
So you could be better than
Fucking
Frankenstein.
sucked ass.
Yeah, you could.
Frankenstein's Army.
You could be better than Frankenstein's Army. And looked like there was some practical gore, so that's another thing
Exactly.
that interested me. What did you think about Overlord?
I liked it. I thought it was. It made me still not know what the plot is fully about, so it
Mm-hmm.
has some intrigue and interest.
Yeah.
I like the AC/DC music. I like the effects. I like the time period it's involved. Yeah, it did give me reminders of Castle Wolfenstein.
Mm-hmm.
So I look forward to it. I'm curious to give it a look when it comes out later this year.
Yeah, so am I. That's actually one. That's another film that just comes out of nowhere because they happen. You know that happened last year. There were a couple films that we didn't really know that much about when we were looking at the list of films coming out in the next year, and then
Hmm.
trailer comes out, and we're like, "Wow, okay, all right, that's just pretty good." So I'm definitely going to give that one a shot as well.
Hmm.
Another film I like the trailer for is Assassination Nation. I know this film got a lot of shit from people when the teaser came out because a lot of people were assuming that it was feminist or something, and then they were still giving this Red Band trailer a lot of shit for the same reasons, which I don't understand. This is so clearly over the top and an example of dark humor. It's like I don't even understand how anyone could look at this and take it seriously. It's it's what it is it's an extreme vision of what things could be like if everything private was released in public in a small town and all boundaries were shattered, and essentially what an extreme version of this SJW concept or idea of what things should be like in society and in life. So it's a very tongue-in-cheek, dark, over-the-top, extremely violent vision of that, and it just seems like it's just totally just poking holes in that whole thing. I don't get why this people who should be clamoring for this type of movie, pounding on the pounding for it, I don't understand why they would be like, fuck this movie. It's a feminist fucking SJW uh, piece of propaganda when it's clearly skewering all of that in the trailer. I don't understand. I like the style in the trailer. I like the extreme violence in the Red Band trailer. I mean, this is just really hard R shit. Like, blood everywhere. Somebody gets a shovel to the head, and there's brain matter and blood spraying all over the place. So it's one of those, like, I'm curious about checking it out because of just how batshit insane it looks. Could be shitty, but I don't know. I'll give it a shot.
I didn't see the trailer, so I can't say much about that either.
Another trailer I wanted to mention was Patient Zero. It's a film. It seems like it's an independent film, and it's got Matt Smith, who was one of the Doctor Who, like he was in Doctor Who, and I think he played the Doctor. Yeah, he did in one of the seasons, and Stanley Tucci is in it, and it's kind of like 28 Days Later or World War Z, but like a little bit different. There's this virus or something that's been released that causes people to be extremely angry and voracious and deadly. And Matt Smith and these other people are trying to find Patient Zero, which is the person who was the initial person who had the disease. And what makes it interesting to me is that Matt Smith is a character who is somehow immune to it. So he's able to communicate with these people who are infected who can't really communicate very well. But he's able to talk to them and speak their language because he was bitten but he hasn't turned. And then he encounters Stanley Tucci's character who may or may not be patient zero, but they're trying to make it seem like he's not. And it seems like he's maybe like the next evolution or something, and he's actually able to be rather cognizant in his faculties, and he's not just speaking a weird language or gibberish like the other people who were infected were. So I'm curious about it. It's one of those like, give it a watch someday. I don't think it probably won't get a theatrical release. If it does, it'll be very limited. Have you seen the trailer for Patient Zero?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Okay. And then I want to briefly mention Bohemian Rhapsody, the second trailer. I would say Rami Malek is perfect casting for the role. I like the fact that in this trailer they did show more of the fact that Freddie was gay. You know, they weren't just trying to do this, let's hide it. There were multiple moments where he was sharing a moment with another man or something. And I really do feel that's important because that's a part of, you know, Queen, and that's who Freddie is. That's who he was. And it does look impressive from a cinematography standpoint. It's just one of those things where I hope they do go all the way with it. There was a line of dialogue that said, well, I don't have that much time left, which makes me think maybe that might be tying into the AIDS thing. And I hope it's not as sanitized as some people are saying it might be, considering a lot of the Queen bandmates are behind it and are trying to kind of shape things the way they want it. And I'm a huge fan of Queen, the band, and so I'm definitely curious about it, but it's just one of those, like, I don't know if I'll see it in the theater because of these questions and stuff I have about it. Maybe I'll wait to see another review or something that talks about it. I think it could be a great drama if it's handled properly, but if it's sanitized, it really won't have the impact it should have. So that's my thoughts on, and Matt's thoughts of some trailers.
Well, there's one there's one trailer I saw that I'll mention,
Okay.
and it's a trailer for a film called Revenge.
Oh.
It's a rape and revenge action movie where it seems to be very bloody and violent. Where this woman
Oh
is
yeah.
in this secret relationship with this. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I've heard about that one. Yeah, I think it came out on demand recently or something. I remember it had a really tone deaf teaser where they're trying to throw in quotes and stuff like "women can't do this, women can't do this. They should stay in the kitchen. They shouldn't be holding guns. They can't kick ass or whatever." And then they show clips from the trailer. It's kind of a tone deaf teaser, but yeah, I'm a little curious about it too.
That's not the one. That's not the one I saw. This one was an actual trailer
Mm-hmm.
where she gets thrown off a cliff and she gets impaled,
Damn.
and she's left for dead. But then she wakes up. She's not quite dead. She gets out of her impalement, and like someone who lives in the desert helps her out, and like because there's like this tree down below, and that's how she got impaled.
Mm.
And this person helps her out, and she takes a knife and guns and just gets revenge. And
Sounds like a better
I think at one
version of
point,
"I Spit on Your Grave."
yeah, honestly, that's what it looks like. It looks like a better version of I Spit on Your Grave. It's simple title called Revenge. I'm sure it's better than the other Revenge with Kevin
You mean the
Costner.
one with Kevin Costner? Yeah, the snooze fest. Doesn't matter what version you watch, theatrical or
So,
director's
I mean,
cut. That revenge is still a total snoozer.
so that one looks pretty good.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious about that one. I'll give that a watch sometime. This film, though, I'm not curious about seeing, and it's really unfortunate that this is in the works. Uh, I'll give some people some good news, though, to celebrate. The Crow remake officially dropped. Not going to happen. Sony dropped it from their release schedule. It's dead. I hope it stays dead. Just keep it dead. Don't be resurrecting the Crow remake. We don't need it. Just like we don't need this remake. The upcoming remake of Jacob's Ladder. From Jeff Bueller, who wrote the Clive Barker adaptation, The Midnight Meat Train. Yeah, the guy who wrote The Midnight Meat Train is writing a remake of Jacob's Ladder. Mickey Liddell's LD Entertainment is financing a remake of the 1990 movie starring Tim Robbins that will be produced by Michael Gaeta and Alison Rosenwig. Liddell is also producing with the company's Jennifer Monroe. Jeff Bueller, who wrote The Midnight Meat Train, yeah, that guy is perfect for Jacob's Ladder. Is penning a script building upon an earlier draft by Jake Wade Wall, who wrote the remake of When a Stranger Calls. So great, he's working on a draft that's pure fucking garbage, I guarantee, because it's from the guy who wrote the When a Stranger Calls remake. And the producers are looking to make something more akin to a homage and not mimic the original. The plan is to contemporize the story with new situations and characters, but still maintain a story that examines issues and poses existential questions. Yeah, from the guy who wrote Midnight Meat Train.
I thought they already made the Jacob's Ladder remake.
Apparently not.
Wasn't this announced like 5 years ago?
Yeah, but they didn't. No,
As
didn't do it.
Starlight.
And apparently the same duo is working on developing a remake of Angel Heart. And Liddell Entertainment's recent credits are The Gray, Disconnect, and they just partnered with McGee's Wonderland Sound and Vision to back a bunch of films and other projects. So now they're in bed with McGee. So what do you have to say about the Jacob's Ladder remake? The whole updating it to contemporizing it.
I swear.
And homaging.
I swear they were working on that film 2 years ago. I swear, because they cast, like 2016, they cast all these people like Michael Ealy, or however you say his name, and
was that the one that was going to be like a black cast or something? And then because I remember hearing something about that. They would do like a black cast thing. So I guess it was after.
I never heard that. I just heard it was from. I didn't hear that. I heard it was going to be more of an action.
Oh yeah.
Like, thriller.
Uh-huh. Well, apparently didn't start shooting.
Or did. They don't want to tell anybody.
Or it's a piece of shit, and they didn't finish it, like what happened with Revenge of the Nerds remake, where they shot a few days of footage. Like, I think it was like a day of footage. They're like, this is horrible. And then they shelved it.
Yeah. May 2nd, 2016. A modern-day reimagining of Jacob's Ladder that introduces new situations and characters from director David M. Rosenthal. Cast Michael Ealy, Nicole Beharie, Jesse Williams. This was from back in 2016.
Huh.
May 2nd.
On my birthday, great.
This is when Hugh Jackman was beginning Wolverine 3, which would become Logan. So that's how old.
Wow.
I wouldn't be surprised if if it was so fucking bad that it's been in some development hell, or
Yeah.
do we release this? Should we release this? Like Amityville, like the Amityville that got delayed like
Amityville Awakening.
4 years.
Yeah.
You need to go see that. You're the Amityville guy, so yeah. But you got like 10 more you got to review. So yeah, keep up
Uh,
on that.
but
It's man, Ken. There's literally like 10 more.
yeah.
There's the found footage ones. There's the
Uh-huh.
Asylum one. There's Awakening. So Mike will do those soon. He did the other Amityville movies.
Uh,
I keep up with him.
but but what are your thoughts on a Jacob's Ladder remake, especially with the concept that they have here?
Like I said 2 years ago when they started the showman, I guess it goes to show you it's a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
Re-release the film, the old film, put in the deleted scenes
Yeah.
back into it, and re-release it in theaters. Because nothing is what's the word I'm looking for? Nothing
Nothing about it is really dated
is
or doesn't hold up.
that's the word dated. Nothing's dated about it. Just put in the deleted scenes, re-release it, and then create a new special edition Blu-ray with interviews from the people who are no longer with us. Like I think the actress passed away
Yeah.
who was in it, Elizabeth Pena, I believe.
Maybe there's hope that maybe someone like Vestron Video Collector Series might do it because it's a Carlico, like, and it was released through Artisan, and Artisan ended up getting bought by Lionsgate, and so they have some of the same catalog. So maybe there might be a Vestron Jacob's Ladder. I mean, that would be great. I'd love to see that. If not, I hope maybe Scream Factory gets a hold of Jacob's Ladder and comes out with a collector's edition, because definitely deserves it. Um,
And what's the point of a remake?
I don't
I
know.
don't understand the
I don't get
point.
it either. But that's the same with all of these remakes that they're announcing. I mean, they're doing a new Pet Cemetery. They're doing other Stephen King adaptations, and that makes sense because it was such a hit. It was the biggest, most successful horror film ever. But
Yeah,
with Jacob's Ladder, it's a cult film. It didn't do that well in the box office. It should have done better, but it didn't. And it's not a film that is, I guess, as much in the mainstream as some of these other films that are getting remade. And it's not like you can really improve upon it. It's just a phenomenal film. It's great just the way it is. You're not going to get somebody who's going to be anywhere near as close to the caliber of an actor as Tim Robbins. It's just not going to happen, especially not with this production company and this particular setup and structure and so on and so forth. The script's not going to be as clever. It's not going to be as thought provoking. You got the guy who did the Midnight Meat Train, okay? And he's rewriting a script by the guy who wrote the When a Stranger Calls remake. Which I just find incredibly ironic,
and this
because let's have a guy who wrote a shitty remake write another remake, which is going to be probably as shitty, if not even worse. Oh no, he did a shitty job. We need somebody else to come in and do a rewrite because this guy did a shitty job. You should have known better. And the homaging shit, I'm not a fan of that anyway. It's a lazy fucking thing that films do nowadays. Like the upcoming Halloween sequel. Oh, we're homaging it, but we're not ripping it off. But you're still throwing these fucking references to all these other films in the franchise. It's the real sequel. We're ignoring the other films, but we're also homaging them. It's just lazy. It's lazy fan service. And then not mimicking the original, then why call it Jacob's Ladder? Do something else. If you want to contemporize the story like Jacob's Ladder, then do something like it and don't call it Jacob's Ladder. You know, at least Hellraiser Inferno wasn't like, it's Jacob's Ladder with Pinhead. I mean, that's essentially what it was, but they didn't market it like that.
yeah, It might as well. But I get what you mean.
No hope for that whatsoever. The next remake I want to talk about, well, not just a remake, it's a sequel, but it might as well. It's gonna there's gonna be some aspects of it that are gonna be a reimagining of the character and of the story, and that is RoboCop Returns. Now, I like Batman Returns, but I guess it's one of those things where Batman Returns works for me, but RoboCop Returns doesn't. I don't know what it is. It's just a very nitpicky thing, but it just doesn't roll off the tongue right for me. I would rather it be called like RoboCop: The Last Stand. There was a comic series that was based on Frank Miller's original concept for RoboCop 3 that came out fairly recently, and it was called that. I think that's a little bit better title than RoboCop Returns. They'll probably change it. I don't think they're going to call it RoboCop Returns. Like, I highly doubt they're going to keep that title. If they do, I'll be surprised. Um, so this is a new RoboCop sequel. It's going to be released by MGM. It's got Justin Rhodes, who's rewriting a sequel script by creators Ed Normeyer and Michael Miner. Justin Rhodes did the script for the upcoming Terminator film. He's done a few other things. And I've read the script that Ed Normeyer and Michael Miner wrote as their sequel to RoboCop, and it really wasn't that good. It was, I mean, in comparison to RoboCop 2, it definitely doesn't have the epic feel to it like RoboCop 2 does. You don't have RoboCane, which I think is a bad thing, because RoboCane is fucking awesome. I'm sorry, it's a drug addicted fucking killer robot. That's cool. That's badass. That's the right kind of edgy. And the sequel was Corporate Wars, which is like it deals more with omni consumer products trying to spread their influence or build Delta City or whatever, and it just wasn't really that great. And then it was adapted kinda into the pilot for RoboCop the series, so they kinda already did it, but not necessarily exactly like the initial script. They're definitely going to have to do rewrites on it because the original script, Corporate Wars, took place pretty much directly after the first movie and the events in the first film. So you can't really do that. But they're trying to, but so they'll have to do it like years later. And Neil Blomkamp is attached to it to direct it. I liked his Oats Studios shorts that he did recently, and I'm a big fan of District 9, but Elysium is a serious mixed bag, and Chappie was disappointing. This is a guy who has a just a very uneven track record. It's a 50-50 thing. It's like flip a coin. Uh, Whether, if it lands heads, the movie's good. Tails, it's shit. And recently, he's been flipping more tails than heads. Um, his recent track record with films, not the best. The old studio stuff, though, pretty inventive, pretty cool. I could see why somebody would look at that and be like, maybe he'd be good for RoboCop. I personally would rather have seen his Alien 3, his initial idea for that. That would have been nice to see. But speaking of that, just to throw this out there real quick, Dark Horse Comics is adapting William Gibson's Alien 3 script for a series of comics that's supposed to come out later this year, and I am highly anticipating that. I'm really glad that they did that. That looks really cool. I've seen some of the spec artwork. Looks good. Can't wait to give that a look, give that a read. And hopefully that inspires more adaptations like that. Not only just for Alien 3, but for other properties. Other films. Like, do a comic book adaptation of Isobar. Do a comic book adaptation of Crusade. Do a comic book adaptation of some of these other scripts that weren't made. I think that'd be cool. With RoboCop Returns, going back to Neil Blomkamp and RoboCop Returns, I like the fact that Neil is attached to it. Okay, you have somebody who, unlike Jose Padilla, has more of a track record with this kind of concept and this kind of film, and isn't going to be entirely out of his comfort zone. And he's definitely up to doing more harder edged stuff. He already said in a tweet that it's going to be violent, it's not going to be PG 13. But part of me didn't. I'm trying to remember if no, that was the other one. That was the Darren Aronofsky thing. Because I think the remake was going to be PG-13 from the get go. I don't think there was anybody saying it's going to be bloody, it's going to be R. Don't worry about it. But it's been a while. I could be wrong. Like they could have easily done that shit too. Been like it's going to be R. Don't worry, and then it's PG-13. Um, Neil Blomkamp gives me a sliver, a shred of hope, just something. And that's better than nothing, and it's better, and it's more than I could honestly, more than I honestly expected. The problem here is RoboCop has a absolutely horrible recent track record of films and adaptations. In comics, there's been some good ones, but there's also been some huge misses, like Terminator versus RoboCop Kill Human, which is a fucking piece of shit comic. But in terms of film adaptations, you got RoboCop 3, you got the remake, you got RoboCop. That's your most recent RoboCop related property. RoboCop. Great. That doesn't instill any confidence in me as a huge fan of the character. And MGM being behind it, so it's not like they have a great track record either. But to be fair, they did release Death Wish, and I thought it was a decent film. That one did surprise me, the one with Bruce Willis. So, and that's a remake. So it seems like they're more willing to take more risks and do more crazy shit than Sony, for instance. So they're kind of more, almost kind of like an independent sort of. They're almost like Orion was in some ways now, because MGM isn't really the big, huge studio that they used to be. They can only make a small selection of films. So they decide to try to, take more risks because of that. And they can afford to do so. This script, though, it's got me leery. It's ignoring RoboCop 2. It's ignoring 3, which is fine because 3 was a piece of shit. But 2, I don't really see why you need to ignore it. You could just take place directly after 2. Why do you have to ignore 2? What do you gain by that? Nothing. If it's supposed to take place years later, just have it take place years later after 2. Why does it have to be ignore 2? I don't understand that concept. It's not like you can't do your 40 years later story without ignoring RoboCop 2. I mean, it's like, or or even 3, for instance, just make a sequel. For fuck's sake, you don't have to do this. It's the real sequel. I'm tired of that shit. It's annoying. It's a recent trend I'm not a fan of. Oh, those other sequels, they didn't happen. Those aren't the real sequels. This sequel that's coming out 40 fucking years later, almost, that's the real sequel. Give me a break. I need to see a trailer. I need to see some set photos. I need to see something. I need to even see if this is even going to get off the ground. Because that's happened before. Oh, this is going to happen, and then it doesn't happen. I need to see that as well. As a huge fan of the character, I want things to be better. I want RoboCop to ride off into the sunset with one last hurrah. I don't want another shitty film. But statistics and recent shit says that more than likely it's going to be shit. But I'm cautiously optimistic because I want a better denouement or ending for this character. I don't want the last film with RoboCop to be fucking RoboCop. I don't want that. I don't want that. I want to see him kick ass again, shoot people in the balls, fuck people up with his Auto 9. I want to see that ultra violent RoboCop again. I want to see that biting satire. I want to see all of that again. And I don't have a whole lot of hope of seeing that, but there's a tiny speck of light at the end of the tunnel here because of Blomkamp's involvement, but it's just a tiny speck right now. Could get bigger, but right now it's a tiny speck. And that's more than I thought I would ever say there would be when it comes to another RoboCop film. But Justin Rhodes has me leery. He's writing the new Terminator movie, which everything I've heard about does not sound good. And it all also depends on who are they going to cast to play RoboCop. Peter Weller's not coming back. I hate to break it to you. He's not coming back. Okay. He's older. He didn't even want to do an interview for RoboDoc, the documentary, unless he was paid a large sum of money. He seems to be kind of trying to distance himself as much as he can from acting or his career. He'd rather just smoke cigars and teach history. Like, he's not really into that. He's not coming back. End of discussion. End of story. I will bet every last cent that I have, if I was a betting man, and I would triple or quadruple it in the process, because there's no way he's fucking coming back. He didn't like the experience of playing RoboCop. He didn't like being in the suit. He felt it was miserable, and it's just not going to happen. So who are you going to get? Joel Kinnaman was an embarrassment. He was fucking terrible. Robert John Burke sounded like he was slow in the head. Paige Fletcher was a fucking midget. Richard Eden was the closest, but who else? I mean, who are you going to get? You're going to get some unknown? Personally, I'd like to see Carl Urban or Thomas Jane. If you can get one of those two, then then that speck of light will grow even bigger, because I'm like, okay, I know what those two are capable of. I know they can pull this type of role off. I know they can be a badass. I know that they have a presence. RoboCop needs a fucking presence. You need an actor who can be in that suit and have a presence. These other people who tried to fill Weller's shoes didn't really have the same presence that Weller does. You need that presence in order to make the character work and to make the character stand out. And I'm just waiting for that. Who's going to be cast? Who's playing Murphy? Who's playing RoboCop? What's the synopsis? What's going on here? And I need to hear more before I'm like, yay, more RoboCop. I just recently it's been a lot of shit. He's just been drugged through the shitter. So that's my thoughts on RoboCop Returns. I know people were wanting to hear my thoughts on it, and there you go. Matt's did a video himself about it, so I'm pretty sure he. Unless you have anything new you wanna add to that.
Not really, no.
Okay. All right.
People can feel free to watch that video if they want to hear my thoughts on it.
Yep. So another project that's going to be coming out in the future is Creepshow the Series. This is interesting. This is a case of things coming full circle, because Tales from the Dark Side, which was I believe one of the producers was George A. Romero, originally was supposed to be Creepshow the Series, but because of some rights issues with something going on with the name, he wasn't able to use Creepshow. So he changed the title to Tales from the Dark Side. Now there's going to be a Creepshow series that's going to air on Shudder, and sometime in 2019. Greg Nicotero is attached to direct, executive produce, and oversee the show's creative elements. Which I'm all right. He worked on Creepshow 2, and he's worked on plenty of other horror stuff. And I know he did stuff with The Walking Dead, but I'm not familiar with that, so I can't be the guy to be like, oh, he's terrible. Wow, no. I mean, it'll take a lot for this series to be worse than Creepshow 3. I mean, a whole hell of a lot. And the fact that it's on Shudder means that it can be more gory and violent than some of the other stuff that was on network TV. And what I've been hearing about it is that this is the quote here. Creepshow is one of the most beloved and iconic horror anthologies from two masters of the genre, George A. Romero and Stephen King, said General Manager Craig Engler, who made the announcement. We're thrilled to continue their legacy with another master of horror, Greg Nicotero, as we bring a new Creepshow TV series exclusively to Shudder members. And Nicotero's talking about it. He says, Creepshow is a project that's very close to my heart, which is good to hear because people made Creepshow 3. I do not believe that they were fans of Creepshow. Any fan of Creepshow would not do to Creepshow what those fucking asshats and those incompetent pieces of shit did to Creepshow with Creepshow 3. It's very close to my heart. It's one of those titles that embraces the true spirit of horror, thrills and chills, celebrated in one of its truest art forms, comic book come to life. I'm honored to continue the tradition and the spirit in which it was created. This is one thing, though, that leaves me a little leery. Taurus Entertainment, who were behind Creepshow 3, they're also also producing this in some ways, but there's other people who are producing it. But fucking Taurus being involved in this in any way, shape, or form, that's a red flag right off the bat. I didn't know that Taurus was involved. They're involved. Maybe it's one of those things where they just own the rights now and they're just like an executive producer, name only. But not good. Anyone involved in Creepshow 3 being involved in the new series, red flag. And I'm not entirely don't have a lot of experience with Shudder either, so I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious about it because I like horror anthologies. I do. I'm a huge fan of horror anthologies. Greg Nicotero is also going to be doing the creature effects as well, so and makeup effects. So there's going to be more practical effects, and you have a guy who really knows what he's doing. So there's that. But it's one of those, I need to wait for a trailer for the series, see what they're going to do with it. From what I heard, it's going to be inspired by Masters of Horror, which I don't think is a bad idea. Masters of Horror, there were some that were good, some that weren't, but I like the concept of getting these legendary and talented horror filmmakers to direct their own story. And some ways, and some of them, they actually wrote them. And if they do something like that with Creepshow, that'd be cool. I hope they have some sort of like a wraparound stuff. I hope they keep that. I hope they keep the creep in some capacity and maybe some of the animation. I think that would be really cool to see. So I'm curious about it. I'm really glad that Creepshow is getting resurrected in this form in a horror anthology TV series versus a remake. So that's how I feel about it. I mean, I'm looking forward to more than Goosebumps 2.
A little bit more of the other.
Because Goosebumps 2, that doesn't look very good either.
Yeah, but I thought you liked the first one.
Goosebumps? Yeah. You like that one more than me, I remember, yeah.
Yeah, you liked the first one.
I didn't like Goosebumps.
I didn't see the movie. I never saw the movie. What are you talking about?
I thought you saw
How
it.
do I like more than you?
You're telling me I liked it? I didn't like Goosebumps.
Yeah. Mike liked it. He just right down and just for fun.
No, it fucking
That was
sucked.
better than Creepshow 2.
It was not better than Creepshow 2. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Creepshow the series?
What channel is it on again? Shudder?
Yep.
Isn't Shudder the one that fucked up the Joe Bob Briggs thing and fucked over people because it didn't know what it was doing?
Well, they did make up for it. It's not like they just that's it.
Yeah, but at the same time, they kind of wasted people's time that they can't get back.
They did. And
I mean,
I was going to mention
I know that happens, but I'm still.
I was actually going to mention that next, actually.
Oh, okay. We'll wait for that.
Is the whole Joe Bob Briggs thing. And there's some other news about it.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, Creepshow the series, like, It, I know you're not as big a fan of anthology shows as I am, so I could, are you just kind of on
Creepshow.
it?
Well, I'm, I don't trust Shutter,
Yeah,
so I won't be seeing it because I don't trust Shutter.
I'll give it a
But I
chance.
mean, yeah, that is fine over a remake.
Yeah, yeah. Now, speaking of Shutter, talk about Joe Bob Briggs's The Last Drive-In, which I heard recently that it actually will not be The Last Drive-In. The demand was so big and it was so high that he's actually going to return and do more. And I hope when that happens, they get their shit together, because I think what happened is this: Shudder completely underestimated the demand for this Joe Bob Briggs marathon. They thought it was just a cult thing, a few people would show up or whatever. They clearly did not do their research and weren't really on top of things. Also, they had it on a live feed on their website. They needed to have some other way that people could see it, like a live feed through somebody's Amazon account. That makes it so Amazon's platform can handle it, and they can handle a lot more than Shutter's website can. They did not expect this amount of traffic, and therefore effectively the marathon shuttered Shutter. um, it's one of those things where they were starting this new live TV thing. This live TV thing was actually a fairly new thing. It wasn't something that they had been going on or running for a while. So it was like kind of a experimental sort of thing, and they bit off more than they can chew. That being said, they did air the entire marathon again later, and things were better when they figured out a way to get things to work faster and more efficient. They put the films available for people to, with his commentary, to purchase online or to rent through other streaming platforms and things like that. So they did not just like, oh, it's the stream happens, we're not streaming it again. They did at least own up and say we're sorry and did things to fix it. That being said, I understand. I mean, people they put a lot of people signed up for Shutter and who weren't subscribers just to see this, and they put all this time aside and they were left with just this janky ass stream. That's fucked up. That's a huge mistake. And my thing is, I'm willing to give them a chance if they continue to fix this and improve. That's the thing. Like, sometimes people fuck up. They don't have like the best shit right from the get-go. That being said, they should have planned things ahead better. They should have tested things better, and this should not have happened. Period. That's the main thing. It should not have happened. Um, but it's one of those things I can kind of get why things went awry, but at the same time, they don't really have much of an excuse. And I don't blame people for being like, fuck Shutter. I don't. Got any thoughts?
uh, Shutter. Did they apologize? I didn't know they had apologized for
I
it.
thought they did. They did some stuff on Twitter
Okay.
and said they're sorry, and we're gonna stream it again, and we're gonna have the movies available for on demand and stuff like that. And eventually they
Well,
did get it
still,
up
I
and
mean,
running. Eventually it was up and running and was didn't really have a lot of issues. But it's a case of where they just underestimated the demand. That's the thing. Now, if they do this again, and they're planning on having,
well, okay. If they if they can't handle a Joe Bob Briggs marathon, then that makes me wonder what else they can't handle.
yeah, I agree. I totally
Because I
understand
love
that.
Joe Bob Briggs, but it's not like I love Joe Bob Briggs, but it's not like he's, you know, to me and you, he's a big deal, but not to the general public.
Yeah.
You know
But
what I mean? So
but I
it's
mean
like,
Shudder was appealing
what
to
other
this
problems can I have in
niche
the future?
horror audience, and that's a bigger audience now. Like it's been growing lately, and they were showing uncut films, and it was like this really long, just nonstop marathon thing. So 24-hour marathon. So I guess in that aspect, maybe they weren't really planning ahead with that. For instance, I mean, Netflix and other they don't really air live stuff. It's on demand. It's you press play and it's already done and whatever. Like what they did with the new Mystery Science Theater 3000. So and Creepshow is probably not going to be a live stream thing. I'm pretty sure they're going to make it available through their Amazon thing or on demand. I pretty much guarantee that's going to be the case. They've done that with other shows apparently on their network. Um, but with this is my thing. If you're going to have Joe Bob, I don't know why I have a hard time saying his name. Joe Bob Briggs back. Don't fuck it up again. Really, that's the thing. You get one mulligan. You do it again, then you don't know what the fuck you're doing, and you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing the live stream thing. You should just be doing the on demand option. And I'm pretty sure people would be okay with that, especially if they subscribe to the Shudder and they have access to it. You subscribe to Shudder, you have access to all these other movies and stuff, and you have access to these Joe Bob Briggs movies with his commentary and all of that, and drive-in totals and so on and so forth. I think people would be up for that. They'd be like, cool, all right. But if you're gonna do a marathon again, make sure to plan it out in advance, test your fucking stream, do all this other shit, and make sure it doesn't crash. Because you're not gonna get a pass from the same people that were willing to be like, okay, they're gonna be like, fuck you too. So it's pretty thin ice here, Shutter. Don't fuck it up.
Well, I know some people cancel their Shutter because of
Well,
this
exactly. That's
mess.
what I'm saying. There were people who, I was talking about the people who gave them, who gave them a pass. There were a lot of people who
Right.
didn't, and you're more than likely not going to get them back. So don't lose the people that gave you a second chance. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah. So but yeah, it's cool that Joe Bob, there's going to be more. I just they, figure it out and I do appreciate the fact that they didn't just like, oh, that's it. We streamed it once. Too bad, so sad. They didn't do that shit. They actually went the extra
What I
mile.
don't understand is why doesn't Joe Bob Bruce just make a YouTube channel and
Yeah, that'd be
just
cool.
talk for 10, 15 minutes about each film?
I'd be totally
You
up
don't
for
have to
that
show the whole
too.
film, just have a sit down 15 minutes for each film and talk about it.
That'd be cool because then he could do more films.
Yeah, do like, 3 a week or something,
Maybe that's
or 4 a
something that
week.
maybe somebody could bring up to him or something, and or something like that. Um, but yeah, we'll see what happens with the next drive-in if they actually do go through with it. Now at Comic Con, there were not only trailers that were announced, but there's other stuff. Taco Bell did this whole futuristic Demolition Man inspired restaurant, and they're selling merchandise and T-shirts and stuff to celebrate Demolition Man's 25th anniversary. I think it's cool that somebody's celebrating Demolition Man's 25th anniversary, but this this is the celebration it gets. A fucking Taco Bell restaurant that's expensive, that barely nobody could probably afford anything in at Comic Con, and merchandise. $30 t shirts, a $20 hat, a $15 pin. Where's the fucking collector's edition Blu-ray? Where's the special edition? I want that. I want the special edition Blu-ray of Demolition Man. I want the 25th anniversary edition with actual features and a better commentary that doesn't make me want to fall asleep. Interviews with Stallone. Interviews with other people involved in the cast and crew. Talk about the effects. Give me the fucking deleted scenes. Give me the Jesse Ventura Stallone fight. That would be the perfect and the best way to celebrate the 25th anniversary. Fucking Taco Bell shit. I don't
Yeah, I
care.
mean,
I
I
really
would
don't.
prefer special edition, yeah, with all that stuff you mentioned.
Because Taco Bell is just using this as a way to advertise their nacho fries returning. Woo. Wow. So, at
I
Comic
never
Con,
liked Taco Bell.
taco smell, taco hell, yeah. So, next there are some Scream Factory announcements. They announced their upcoming slate of releases at Comic Con. You got Candyman, which I'm like, because Arrow just announced theirs already, and it's probably going to have the same features. And if I had to pick, I'm going to be going with Arrow. I'm a bigger, I really like Arrow. They seem to do a little bit better job with their transfers, and I don't know. I'm not going to go with their expensive, crazy limited edition set, because I'm not super big on Candyman. I like the film, but I'm not like, oh man, I love Candyman. I like it, but I've never been like, I've never been one of its biggest fans, but I do like the film. Out of the Candyman trilogy, it's easily the best one, and the only one that is legitimately good, if you ask me. So for Candyman fans, this is good news. This is great, and it has a lot of features too. I mean, there's a considerable amount of features that are going to be coming
Yeah.
with this set. It's a 2-disc set. There's going to be all these different documentaries of featurettes and interviews and commentary tracks. So if you're a fan of Candyman, this is really sweet. No pun intended. Sleepwalkers, what? Really? Sleepwalkers? I mean, there are parts of it that I don't mind, but it's not a good movie. Somebody gets killed with a corn on the cob. Okay, it's silly. It's a silly movie. I'd rather have seen Murder by Phone, Jacob's Ladder, April Fool's Day, Sleepwalkers.
Well, that's Paramount, so you're not getting that.
I know, but I can dream. A guy can dream.
Speaking of Paramount Graveyard Shift, talk about Stephen
Yeah,
King.
there you go. Graveyard Shift. But Sleepwalkers? Nah.
Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah, that. What about Maximum Overdrive? What about that? I'd rather have that collector's edition. Sleepwalkers, could care less about. Single White Female. I haven't seen the film in a long time, and it seems like it's not a collector's edition, so why? I mean, I'd be totally fine with my DVD. I don't need the Blu-ray. Urban Legend. Yeah, maybe. And then they're also releasing Final Cut, but the third film, no. Which I understand why, but
That's fine. Third film
yeah, it does
sucks.
suck. But how do you feel about Urban Legend Collector's Edition?
I like the movie, and they say it'll have a lot of features, so I'd be curious.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't mind the sequel either. The sequel's alright as a time waster. I've seen much worse.
Yeah.
I don't know if I get that on Blu-ray. Maybe the first one, though. I would have to see what the features are.
Yeah.
The features are good enough, sure.
Then you have one that I'm just like, what the fuck? Really? Really? Saturday the 14th. A film that is so shitty that even the cinema snob, Brad Jones, was having a hard time watching it. And even doing the commentary for it. Like, he even says it's one of the worst films he's seen. Yeah, Blu-ray. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, that if you want to see Richard Benjamin in a horror comedy,
What
watch Love at First Bite.
about Student Bodies?
Yeah, exactly. You want to see a spoof that's actually funny?
Why
Watch
didn't they
Student
do that one?
Bodies. I think it's a Paramount release. Remember Paramount co-released that?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
And it was released on Blu-ray
Big surprise.
through was it Kino Lorber? Was it Kino Lorber? I don't think it was Kino Lorber. Olive Films. They released a Blu-ray a while back.
Uh,
But I mean, yeah, Student Bodies. I'd rather see a special edition of that. Or I mean, Saturday the 14th isn't a collector's edition, but still. And I love when they made the announcement. They're like, and the much requested Saturday the 14th. Who the fuck is requesting Saturday the 14th? I don't know of a single person that I know of that's like, man, Saturday the 14th, that's a classic. I really want that on Blu-ray. It's like with Demented and Dead Time Stories.
More people want Blood Beach. That's not a good movie, but more people requested that than Saturday the 14th
Yeah.
or
And
Demented.
but the thing is, I think
Can't find 10 people who've heard of Demented.
the people who are requesting these are the people who just want every horror film on Blu-ray. They're like, this movie's not on home video. This is a horror film and it's not on DVD or Blu-ray.
Well, then
Scream
fucking
Factory, release
then
it.
request Murder by Phone or Nightlife, which don't even have a DVD
Yeah, I know. Nightlife would
with
be a
Blue
much better
Monkey
announcement
analysis.
than Saturday the 14th. But really, even my cat's like, Saturday the 14th? Boo. I don't get why that's getting released on Blu-ray either. But that's the thing. I don't get that. Because there is this thing. There are people who buy every single Scream Factory release, regardless of the quality of the film,
I know.
regardless of whether or not they've seen it. And then there's people who are just this growing group of collectors who are just like,
If I was rich, if I was rich, I would do it.
yeah,
But I'm not
everyone,
rich.
every there's this growing group of people in the horror community that are like, not on Blu-ray, should be on Blu-ray, and doesn't matter if it's a shitty film, they just
Mhm.
want it on Blu-ray. That's this growing group of horror fans, and I don't. I mean, I'd rather just have films, and I know quality of films is subjective, but it's like, I don't want Scream Factory to run out of fucking shit to release or go out of business like Anchor Bay did because they're releasing shit that isn't going to sell that many copies. That's my thing. The
Right.
next announcement, though, this will sell quite a few, and that is the Critters collection. I like the cover art for the box. I'm not into the whole paying $60 for two posters, though. That's not really something I'm not big into that. But that's a limited edition. Um, no features have been announced yet, so that's another thing. I really kind of like. I want to know what the features are going to be, but that's really cool. Critters films finally getting a release on Blu-ray. Uh, I only really like the
Yeah,
first two, but and I'll take a collection. Why not? That's better than Saturday the
I
14th or
can,
Sleepwalkers.
I can, I can watch all four of them. But yeah, the first two are the best.
Mm-hmm.
I can watch three and four as time wasters.
Yeah.
Get an interview with Leonardo DiCaprio. I'll be impressed.
Another title they announced
He
was
was
The
in Critter
Craft.
3.
I like that film a lot, so I'm all for that. I hope it gets a collector's edition. Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. It's garbage day. What I hope they do with that,
Commentary with Eric Freeman.
yeah,
But
commentary
no
with
Bob.
Eric Freeman, and I hope they do like a documentary about where's Eric Freeman, searching for Eric Freeman, because that was that big thing, like people were trying to find him. I think that would be a fun and fascinating
Yeah,
documentary.
yeah.
Then you have Dracula, Prince of Darkness, a Hammer film. I'm fine with the DVD, but I know there's a lot of fans of that film, so here you go, some classic Hammer horror for you. Then you have the announcement that, for me personally, next to the Critters box set, was like the best one for me. Screamers. Finally. Even if it's not a collector's edition, just finally. Screamers, the underrated gem with Peter Weller on Blu-ray. I mean, that's great news. I mean, for the longest time, the shitty sequel was on Blu-ray, but not the first film, and the DVD was
Yeah,
out of print. So I'm really, really glad about that announcement. Super happy about that. Then there's
that's cool.
something called, is it Straight Jacket, I think, or some other thing? I don't know what it, Obsession. It's called Obsession. I'm not familiar with the film. Don't know much about it. 10 to Midnight, I like the film. So we'll see what's going on with the Blu-ray. What's interesting about this is that Twilight Time just released a Blu-ray of it. So apparently Twilight Time's deal ran out, and then Scream Factory got the rights and are doing a Blu-ray. I guess you'll get to see that naked guy in HD now.
Do do the blob.
I'd love to see that. That deserves a
Get the
collector's edition.
blob.
Collector's edition, please. I mean, Screamers is a Sony thing. So is Craft. So is the Craft. These are Sony releases. So I'm hoping that they can get the Blob. The 1988 remake, of course. We're not talking about the original. Starman, and that's the last
It already
announcement.
has a Blu-ray with
Is
features.
Starman the Blob? Yeah, I know the original
Yeah,
one,
Starman's good.
but the last announcement they made is Starman, John Carpenter's Starman. I hope it has a commentary, or they poured over the other commentary from the UK DVD. Um, New transfer, some interviews, stuff like that. It's a great film. Hope it gets a collector's edition, even if it doesn't. At least a new transfer. But it better get a collector's edition. Fucking Mac and Me got a collector's edition. You better be fucking giving Starman a collector's edition.
Well, hasn't every John Carpenter film gotten that?
Yeah, yeah. So it probably will.
So it makes sense that way.
Since they have Sony, maybe they could do Short Circuit or something. And like the second one. I mean,
Well, yeah, under Shout Factory, you
yeah,
mean?
I'd be totally up for that. Um,
Does
and
Shout Factory have announcement in
yeah, I
this?
saw something, and it wasn't much of anything. That's why I didn't really want to talk about it, because it was a
Oh,
lot of titles
okay.
that I'm not super. Used Cars was one of them, but other than that, there was just a bunch of them that I'm like,
Mm,
what, huh? Care less. Don't really
mm,
care. That's sadly, this wasn't really a lot that I was like, wow, yeah, totally,
mm.
really looking forward to that. I'm hoping maybe, because they've been doing some with deals with Warner Brothers, it would be really cool to see a Jason Goes to Hell Blu-ray with the unrated cut, collector's edition. I understand why that might not happen, but that would be really cool. But I was bummed, though, that there wasn't an announcement for something like Alone in the Dark, the 1982 film, or Fade to Black. You know, that kind of stuff. I mean, would have liked to have seen those announced over Saturday the 14th, Sleepwalkers, and a few other titles. But Critters Collection, Screamers, Starman, The Craft, Silent Deadly Night Part 2, at least there's titles there that are worth getting somewhat excited for. And to round up this podcast, I want to talk about the one of my most anticipated releases of the year for me personally. Batman the Animated Series, the complete remastered television series, animated series on Blu-ray. It's coming out in October on the 16th, and it has the entire series remastered. It also has Mask of the Phantasm and Sub-Zero that are included in the deluxe edition. Probably not going to be included in the standard edition if they do release it. Select audio commentaries, which is probably going to be the same commentary tracks that were on the DVDs. Some Funko Pops of Batman, Harley Quinn, and the Joker. And I'm like, who cares? I don't give a shit about Funko Pops, whatever. But if you're into the Funko Pops, there you go. Art book leaflet. So there's going to be some art. And a new 60-minute Heart of Batman featurette. I think they're also going to port over the same features and featurettes from the other DVDs. I don't see why they wouldn't. Regardless, for me, it's worth it because it's finally this legendary, awesome series remastered. Because the DVDs do not look that good nowadays, and this show deserves to look in pristine HD. It's a work of art in a lot of ways, especially the first two seasons, and and for me personally, it's the best adaptation of Batman out there, and it does deserve this treatment. I'm so glad that Warner Brothers is finally releasing this set. It's pretty pricey to start out with. Pre-order on Amazon is about $112. That doesn't include tax if you have tax in your state. Tax will be like another extra $10 or something. It's crazy because it's a bigger set and it's more expensive. But anyway, the price could go down by the time it releases, though, around like 70 to 80. Um, and they'll
Yeah.
probably release a standard edition that doesn't have all the bells and whistles. That'll be cheaper, but you might have to wait a bit longer on that. If you're a fan of the show, rejoice. Um, it's finally coming out, and
Mhm.
yeah, I mean that's something I'm super looking forward to. You got Creepshow coming out in October, and you got Batman the animated series on Blu-ray. And I mean that's gonna be a good month for me in terms of Blu-ray releases. But
That's cool.
yeah, what's your most anticipated upcoming release for you personally?
Uh, there's a couple, I guess.
Uh huh.
Right now, it's a tie between Deep Rising and The Unnameable on Blu-ray,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a couple. Deep Rising, The Changeling, Unnameable. I look forward to Critters,
Mm-hmm.
Starman, Streamers. I thought I heard some company maybe they're going to do a Blu-ray of The Swarm, which I would be
Oh.
curious about because I like The
Mm.
Swarm.
Sounds like it might be that might be something
There's
that
some company,
Warner Archive might do.
yeah, that might be a Warner Archive thing. So we'll see what cut they have. There's two cuts of the film,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean those are the ones I look forward to.
Well, I know Arrow's doing
Like I said,
Heather's, and they're also doing. I've
okay,
heard rumors they're going to do Elvira. Like they've been hinting at Elvira for a while, but they haven't announced it yet. So Arrow Video is gonna. There's gonna be Elvira, Mistress of the Dark Blu-ray that's eventually going to come out, and I'll be looking forward to that as well. But it's Batman for me and Creepshow. You know, one of my favorite shows, my all-time favorite horror
right.
film. You know that's really cool. But there are other stuff I would have liked. Fade to Black, Alone in the Dark. Those are prime examples. Nightlife, stuff like that. So Deep Space. There's still plenty out there that could still get released on Blu-ray. But it's nice to see that there's
2000, 2003 Turtles cartoon, which
yes.
will never be released because Nickelodeon are fuckheads,
I'd love to see that
dipshits.
because I'd love to check that series out.
Fuck
You
you,
know,
cartoon.
yeah, that
A fucking
cartoon
new
that
cartoon
looks
looks
like
like gave the turtles AIDS.
yeah, it's really bad. It's a Dayglow nightmare. Um, but anyway, running out of steam and don't really know what else to say about everything except thank you for listening and stay tuned for the next podcast. And until that time, talk to you later. See
Thanks for watching and fuck Nickelodeon.
ya.